Eagles favored by 5 here. If they win, they're still rooting for Dallas to lose to potentially win the NFC East. But the Eagles, hard to not feel like they blew one last week against Arizona. Not only losing the game, but they had a 2-touchdown lead and had the NFC East in their grasp. But yeah, the defense has been a dud. This is a rematch from Christmas Eve just 2 weeks ago. Eagles and Giants, where the Eagles won by 5, I believe it was, right? Favored by 5 here at the Giants.
Yeah, and I think it really has become a defensive problem now for Philadelphia. I think the offense is actually fine. Now, we're in this world of what's real and what isn't, right? There are reports in the media that A.J. Brown's attitude is rubbing people the wrong way, and it's causing a division in the locker room. Now, A.J. Brown has come out and said, there's no problem. Everybody's cool. In fact, I love Nick Sirianni. He took a bullet for us when he said I was trying to play for the pass interference when actually we just dialed something up ourselves and it was terrible. And he didn't have to do that. So, if that's all just an invention of the media, then the offense, I think, is in good shape and not a problem at all heading into the postseason. If there's something there, then maybe it's a bigger problem. But right now, their issue is they can't stop anybody on defense. Like the pass rush that was much better early in the year isn't anymore. The back seven was bad to begin with, and it's getting banged up, and it's even worse. So they're looking at teams, no matter who it is, and being like, a 2-touchdown lead is not safe because we can't stop them.
It's difficult for me as a former pro athlete, Sam. And I've already referenced the 2005 tornadoes.
You have.
And the camaraderie,
amazing
the unity that we had. And I'm throwing a little bit more into my resume here. I'm a 2-time Can-Am League champion.
Yeah?
2 different teams. Worcester Tornadoes, Nashua Pride.
Is that more impressive than doing it twice with one team?
I mean, I had 2 different coaches, I think it is.
2 different playbooks.
Yeah. It's like when Brady goes and wins with Bruce Arians. You show you can win elsewhere. I had to show that I could win outside of the cocoon of Worcester, But both of those, I'll just say it's really a chicken or an egg thing. Going back to this is A.J. Brown's attitude the reason why the Eagles can't cover, and the reason why they gave up over 200 yards on the ground last week. Is that why?
Yeah.
Because A.J. Brown
doesn't feel like it.
His attitude, right? So my point, like the locker room stuff, it really is like winning takes care of that. So a lot of times you're winning, and it's like I like my teammates. I mean, I do like this. Right. I like the environment. And then you start losing, and it's like, oh man, it's the attitudes. Nobody's coming to work.
I mean, look at the Steelers, right? Like they had a locker room a few weeks ago where George Pickens was like, I'm not blocking for this guy. I don't want to get hurt. And the team, like the guy he wasn't blocking for, was like, I mean, I'd have blocked for him. That's pretty weak. Like that's pretty bad in terms of what can happen in the locker room. And then they win from that point on, so nobody cares, and everybody's joking with George Pickens. It's like, hey, George, go score another one, win us this game, and everybody's happy, right? You're right. Like, winning takes care of most of these things. But when you start to head into the postseason, like, all of this stuff gets magnified because the pressure's higher, because there's no margin for error. It's win or go home, and if there's anything not right.
The analysis is usually like a post-mortem, though. It's like, why have the Eagles lost 4 or 5? Oh man, they've been at odds. It's been rough. The locker, A.J. Brown. It's always like a post-mortem. It's never like foresight. Nobody's ever like, man, Eagles have this fractured locker room. Let's see how it plays out. Oh no, they just won 6 in a row. I guess it's okay.
Right.
But
I doubt it.
Nobody does it ahead of time.
No, but I doubt. But if it is a thing and it does exist, even if you've papered over it by winning, it probably doesn't help your endeavor to win a Super Bowl.
I guess I do. I just want to be honest with it. Like, I struggle with, as an analyst who relies a lot on numbers in my eyes, I struggle with the thing that we don't see that is coming from like third-hand sources.
Yeah.
Right? I struggle with that stuff. I don't think it doesn't exist.
Well, yeah.
I felt it, right? So my point is, I've felt what it feels to be good and what it feels to be on a bad team. Like where it doesn't feel good. I understand that. I just don't know how to add it to the equation.
The problem is twofold. Number one, that it is very dependent on whether you're winning or losing. And number two, that we have no idea if it's invented or not and if it's real or not in this particular or in any individual scenario, right? It could be it's absolutely a thing, and half the locker room hates a given guy, right? And it's pissing people off, and they're not focused because of it, and it is an issue. Or it could just be some random guy in the media heard something, put it out there, and now it's something that everybody has to talk about because we've seen a couple of video clips of a guy looking pissed off on the sideline. You know what I mean? Like, so remember.
Oh, the sideline stuff drives me crazy, though.
Like, remember,
absolutely crazy. And we let people get away with it.
Remember, there was a narrative for a long time of what a problem Jay Cutler's body language was, right? Because he just has a default facial expression of misery. Like, there's that meme where he has like
Resting
a cigarette.
Cutler face.
Yeah, where he has like a cigarette dangling out of the corner of his mouth. And that looks like how he should exist at all times. And there was, because Jay Cutler was Jay Cutler, this became like a thing of, well, his body language is bad, therefore the team stinks and he doesn't win and, you know, he's not as good as he should be. It's like, well, maybe he just looks like that and it's irrelevant and this only exists in the head of the people who are talking about it. We don't know either way. Like, it could be, we're not in the locker room. We don't know if the entire team spends their time going, man, our quarterback's bummed out. That's why we can't win. Or if it's just, that's what he looks like. He has resting, you know, Cutler face. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like
RCF.
The Manning face. That didn't stop them winning games. So who knows?
Anyway, Philadelphia, I mean, what's happened to the defense? Since week 11, they beat Kansas City Monday Night Football 21-17. So they allow 17 to Kansas City. Since that point, 34 points to the Bills, 42 to the 49ers, 33 to the Cowboys, 20 to the Seahawks, which had Drew Lock at quarterback, who led a game-winning drive against them, 25 to the Giants, and then 35 to the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I think they're going to beat the Giants. I'll even pick the Eagles to cover. But the defense is a massive issue, to the point where if they are the 5 seed going to Tampa or New Orleans, if there's if that ever happened, there's concerns. Their whole back 7, the cornerbacks, the linebackers, the pass rush isn't good enough right now. They're still a talented team, but nothing's working on that side of the ball, and that's an issue for the Eagles. I'm with you too. I think the offense I've had concerns about too, but they have enough pieces. Hurts looks healthier.
Yeah.
And, I think they can do what they need to do offensively.
I think they've actually turned it around a little bit. Now, again, remember a few weeks ago that the narrative was nothing they do in the last few weeks is going to matter because they're going up against the Giants twice and the Cardinals.
No, you're being influenced.
Now, they lost one of those games, so apparently there is something to be taken from it. But the point being, you have to factor in the fact that everything should be looking better. So even though we're saying the offense does look better, it was expected to. So it might not be real. It might just be, par. It might just be they've met expectations. But that is more than you can say for the defense, which has not been able to meet expectations, even adjusting for the fact that they're going up against worse teams. You have to be concerned by the total lack of pressure this team is applying right now. Like, nobody is getting a ton of heat on the opposing quarterbacks, even though they've got some good players up front. Like Hassan Reddick a couple of weeks ago had a 6-pressure game against the Giants, against a bad offensive tackle on that side. That's it, though. Like, Josh Sweat has chipped in with a couple of pressures, Brandon Graham, Jalen Carter, but they're not dominating up front anymore.
The 2 lowest pass rush grades, to your point, for the Eagles this year. Week 14 at Dallas. Week 17 last week against Arizona. Now, Dallas, you understand why that could happen. But Arizona, in that offensive line, the Eagles do not have that dominant pass rush that they not only had last year on the Super Bowl run, but they've been a top 5 pass rush team, I think, every year back to 2016.
Yeah. It's a team institutional philosophy. Like, make sure we have pass rushers and not just 4 of them, 6, 7, 8.
They're still 7th right now in team pass rush grade. So they're still, like, season-wise, but the last few weeks have not been great. All that said, they're a better team than the Giants. We're going to see Tyrod Taylor, can he create some big plays? He came back. He came out in relief of Tommy DeVito on Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. And did bring the Giants back a little bit. But, all right, Eagles favored by 5 here.
The other last element of that defensive performance a week ago was the same as the Seahawks, missed tackles. They missed 13. We were talking about Seattle missing 15. Okay, just in the run game, so theirs was worse. But the Eagles adding to the problems on defense by missing tackles is not helping either.
A few weeks ago, I thought they just looked tired because they ran into this run. They just looked bad.
Yeah.
They just looked bad.
I'm going to bank on the Giants and Tyrod keeping this within 5, given their defense.
I am too. I think I am too.